Welcome to Salisbury University on the Air, a program highlighting the activities and the people of the campus. My name is Susan Purnell. All of us have our career, friends, and families that keep us happy and busy, but it's just as good for the soul to take time to reach out and help others. Many of Salisbury University's student organizations provide community outreach, but SU's volunteer efforts don't stop there. Many faculty and staff members and administrators take the time to give back, serving as positive role models for students and others. Here to tell us about some of the selfless efforts of SU's executive staff are Dr. Karen Olmstead, SU Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, and Jason Curtin, SU Vice President of Advancement and External Affairs and Executive Director of the SU Foundation, Incorporated. So welcome back, Karen.
Thank you.
Always good
Happy
to talk
be
with
here.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. So today, before we get into our subject at hand, let's talk a little bit about you and how you got to SU and your current role as provost.
Right.
Which I don't know really what that means.
All
so
right.
If
You
could
wouldn't
explain that.
be alone in that. Sure. Well, my family and I moved out here in the summer of 2008. When I started as the Dean of the Henson School of Science and Technology here at Salisbury University. And we came from South Dakota. I'm actually a resident or a longtime dweller of the Mid-Atlantic, but we lived out in South Dakota for 17 years. So
You don't have that accent.
Well, I guess I didn't pick it up. Yeah. But we moved back, and I was thrilled to get that position. And then in the summer of 2017, when Dr. Allen retired, I was thrilled to be offered the interim position, and then finally the role of provost at Salisbury University last December. Provost, we were joking earlier about it. Some people say it, its roots are in the word warden of like a prison, but really it reflects the vice president of academic affairs and all the whole broad scope of that. And what I really love about the position is I get really to look at how the university works broadly, not just academic programs, but how student affairs fits in there, all the budget and policy and buildings and the community connections that are tied to the university that I had a little bit of a window on when I was the Dean of the Henson School, but in the Provost's office I really have a deep understanding of that. And I know you're going to be talking to Jason Curtin today, and certainly the support that advancement gives the university as well. So I really like that kind of 360 nature of that job.
Yeah, you really do have a broad viewpoint and responsibility.
Yep, well that's for sure. Yep.
And before we get into your particular volunteer efforts, which I do want to talk about, why do you think it's important for the campus community and the executives here to do community outreach?
So I think service, and whether it's just volunteering or community-based learning or very structured service learning, is important because it's a manifestation of the university's mission, which is to not only produce students who are prepared for rewarding careers, but also to contribute to their communities in meaningful ways. And so it's important that the entire community is involved in that. In fact, our mission statement says that service is vital to our mission, as is contributing to the cultural, economic, educational well-being of our region. So it's really deep within our roots at Salisbury University.
I didn't know that was part of your mission statement, but
Absolutely.
It makes me even more enamored with this
school.
Yes,
I know. It's as a public comprehensive university, which is the type of university that Salisbury University is, that's really a defining characteristic, our connection to our community, our commitment to the needs of our community. And so, most of the people that work at the university really value that aspect of our role.
And
Absolutely.
You in particular, what are you the most passionate about?
Probably the largest project that I ever worked on in a sustained way was when we were in South Dakota. I was heavily involved in a tallgrass prairie restoration project, and I'll just say something briefly about that. But that's a great example of people who work at universities or live within university communities. Really, it's probably true generally, is you have that wonderful connection of your professional expertise and interests and what you can do in your community, right? So maybe you're doing certain things at work, but you can take that same expertise out into the community and contribute as well. Or sometimes you just do something totally different just for fun, right? So the largest project that I ever worked on was this large-scale prairie restoration project, and we worked with federal and state agencies and volunteers from the community to plant grasses and flowers. I had school kids out to learn about nature. And that project was over many years and was really a deeply rewarding project for me and the students and community members that volunteered on it. But currently, I think my major activity is related to Special Olympics Maryland, and I serve on their board, and I'm very excited about the great work that they do. So that's really where I'm kind of focusing some of my energy now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So that's your current passion.
Yep.
What is particularly rewarding about working with Special Olympics?
Well, I have had kind of a first-hand view of its impacts. My son has an intellectual disability and was a sport athlete at Y High when he was in high school. He was able to engage in unified sports there, which is in conjunction with Special Olympics Maryland. I've been able to see the impact that Special Olympics, whether it's in Maryland or other places, has on the athletes. I've seen the value of sport itself on human development. I think we underestimate the impact of sport on human development. And Special Olympics just has such a wonderful spirit of team, leadership development, and really kind of engagement for all the right reasons. So that's wonderful for the athletes, but you also see just tremendous growth in the people who volunteer related to Special Olympics, including scores of SU students every year. There's the state soccer championship here coming up this fall.
They have it here.
They have it here at not SU down the road away in Fruitland, but just scores of students that are participating. We also have a fraternity that raises thousands of dollars in the polar bear plunge that happens in January. So I think it's deeply rewarding for the volunteers as well. And then, as I think many of us know, as a volunteer, you often build a really tremendous network, professional network with the other volunteers, and I find that really valuable too.
As I get older, I think I've realized that intelligence has many facets, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, many dimensions.
Athletics is really one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe you're not so good with your SAT scores or math or science, but you've worked so hard to get to a certain level of excellence in a sport. That's a kind of intelligence that I think should be celebrated.
And I mean, the special athletes can be remarkably accomplished, some of them, compared to normally developing individuals. For others, my son might be an example, the fact that he can kayak when he was younger. I never imagined that he would have the gross and fine motor skills to be able to do that, and he looks forward to engaging in kayaking competitions in the future. So it's really Special Olympics. I like it because it's tuned to individuals being able to set their own goals, and it's not an excellence bar that's set for a population of really elite individuals with whom nearly nobody could compete effectively.
But they can compete
very well, and all the reward. The other thing that I really love about Special Olympics and sport is the focus on health. And for all of us, myself included, that's a constant battle. But I think particularly for individuals with disabilities, that can be even more of a challenge when you're looking for quick meals, or it's a hassle to find transportation to get to the gym or something like that. Having the structure of a program like Special Olympics, or even at the university, we have just started field days in the summer where we invite community members with intellectual disabilities to compete during a week of activity. Just providing that structure gets people out, gets people moving.
Yep. I know that President White, in his first year here, has also reached out to the community. What are some of the things he's been involved in?
Well, I think he's very wisely, in his first year, he was admitted to the Leadership Maryland program, which is a wonderful program, but also engages you in understanding the needs of Maryland, not just about leadership, but leadership for Maryland. So he's getting, I think, a really nice exposure to all the opportunities across the state, whether they're needs or resources that are available for the university. So I think that's been a focus for him. But I know he also immediately joined the chamber, joined the Greater Salisbury Committee, the things that you think he might do. I know he's active in the National Folk Festival. There's so many events that I go to, and there he is. So he and his wife, Victoria Rasmussen, are really out and about in the community in a way that I think sets the bar for the rest of it.
They really are.
They really are.
I do see them everywhere. That's true. Other members of the executive committee are also involved. What are some of the other organizations with which the executive committee is involved?
Mm-hmm. So I know one real important role we have just professionally is creating a opportunity for the whole campus to engage in things like that. So, several of us consider things like Relay for Life, and that's a campus-wide tradition. Other colleagues are involved in Lower Shore Enterprises. One of my colleagues is actively involved in Wycomico County Public Libraries Board. So really any number of things, just depending on their particular interests. There are probably too many to mention. I know all the deans that I work with, they're all on different advisory boards and active in economic development. Really kind of the number of things that people are engaged in is really something. But as I mentioned, I think the most important thing outside of, kind of personal, dedicating their personal time that university leaders do is create that space for all members of the university to be involved in the community, and whether it's finding those opportunities or finding time for people to be engaged in those activities, kind of smoothing out any issues that relate to transportation or liability, all these things that you don't want to think about. I know that the members of my peers on the executive committee, we're all very involved in making sure that we don't have any barriers for students, faculty, and staff to be engaged in the community in that way.
And finally, so why do you think it is so important that you and your fellow executives do this kind of service?
It's an opportunity for us to learn about not only the needs of the community, but the opportunities that exist within the community as well. And we just finished a long, almost 6-month self-study of how well we engage with the community. And it's really looking at our reciprocal relationship with the communities we serve. So not us bringing just things we want to do into the community, but what really are the needs of the community. And that takes listening, that takes being out there. So being involved in service and volunteering is a great way to put yourself out in the community, meeting new people, learning things you didn't even know about. It's kind of hard to do that if you're just sitting on campus.
And it provides that sort of synergy between the college and the community, which didn't always exist, but I think exists very nicely right now.
Right, really. I think that's really...
We've come a long way in that regard.
Really developing,
Yes. That's great. Well, thank you again, and for all that you do and all you represent and the role model that you are.
Oh, thank you,
for the
Susan.
students.
I appreciate it.
So good to talk to you.
Thank you.
In just a moment, we'll speak with Vice President of Advancement and External Affairs and the Executive Director of the SU Foundation, Jason Curtin. But first, SU has consistently been recognized by a number of national organizations for its outstanding academic success. Those rankings, however, reveal only a small part of what SU really is.
Are you using college rankings to help find the perfect school? If so, Salisbury University might be a great place to start your search. For more than 2 decades, SU has been ranked one of the nation's top colleges by U.S. News & World Report and the Princeton Review. SU is also consistently ranked at best value by publications including Kiplinger's, Forbes, and Money. But guidebooks, rankings, and online research only tell part of this story. You really have to visit this beautiful campus to see for yourself.
Talk with admissions counselors and students to get an honest feel for SU.
Eat lunch in our dining hall and try our award-winning food.
Tour our LEED certified facilities and see why we've been one of the nation's greenest colleges for a decade and counting.
And sit in on our small classrooms with our friendly professors. SU provides everything we need to succeed.
When you visit campus, we think your experience will match or even surpass what the lists are saying. See why SU might be a great fit for you.
As wonderful as SU's academics are, the university has so much more to offer. I hope you, along with any students you may know who are thinking about college, will visit the campus to learn more. Next, we're joined by Jason Curtin, Vice President of Advancement and External Affairs and the Executive Director of the SU Foundation, Inc. Jason, thanks so much for being here again.
Thanks for having me.
You're getting to be a regular. It's great.
Anytime you're hosting, I'm happy to be here.
Thank
which
you
always
so
host.
much.
So
thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this.
Well, look, you went to school here.
I did.
Which I don't think I realized. And when you were an undergraduate, did you do some volunteering then?
I did. So kind of two different things. One, I had a lot of friends that were education majors. I was not. I was a communications major, but a lot of friends were in the School of Education, wanting to become teachers. And a girlfriend at the time and some other friends, and they all did tutoring at Pinehurst Elementary and working with students and reading and I guess extra help with literacy. And so I would go over and help out and spend some time with my girlfriend at the time and some friends. And so that was a lot of fun. And then I was also in a fraternity here at Salisbury, and our community partner was Special Olympics. And so we would get involved with a variety of Special Olympics programs and raise money for them. And we also did with the State Highway Administration, you know how they have different adopt an organization that can adopt a highway. And so our fraternity was involved with that. So I was active with community service as a student, which I think was really important, and can look back on that and thought that was probably a jump start to me being involved and engaged as a part of society and a part of as an adult. So
Well, it must have been rewarding enough that you've continued,
Yeah.
and now as an executive of SU.
yeah, that experience working with students as an undergrad. I never wanted to go into teaching, respect everyone that does that, but I ended up becoming a substitute teacher during break. So winter break, I would go back home in Calvert County in Southern Maryland, and I was a substitute teacher for 2 winter breaks. I just liked being around students.
So what particularly are you interested in now as a executive
Yeah, so
vice
when I
president?
came back to the area, obviously I came back. I graduated in 1998, went away for a few years, and then came back in 2004. And as the alumni director here at the university, got to meet so many great alumni and friends and people in the community. And a small group of gentlemen, and you probably know some of them: Tony Sarbanes, Ralph Murray, Bob Freeman. They were all involved in the Optimist Club of Salisbury, and so they approached me pretty quickly about getting involved in the Optimist Club. And so I've been a member of the Optimist Club since 2007. I've served as president twice of the Optimist Club. And so the Optimist Club, obviously, their motto is Friends of Youth. So lots of different youth programming, whether it's a softball league, oratorical contest, essay contest, etc. I've just found that to be really rewarding. I was a Rotarian for a little bit. I joined the Morning Rotary Club here in Salisbury, and a great group of people, great experience, but just ended up, like time is one of the valuable things. I wasn't able to fully invest in that group as I wanted to, so I had to let go of it. But I still am an optimist to this day, and on the executive board, I'm currently serving as the treasurer of the Optimist Club, and it's been great. It's been great to be involved in the community. It's so many different community service organizations, and it's just such a community-minded, civic-minded community that we live in the university is a part of that. So it's only natural that we as employees and administration of the university give back to the community as well. So it's good that we all do that.
I was thinking about that. You're really in charge of the largest community outreach group, and it is a community outreach group, because at the SU Foundation, you're executive director of that, gives not just to the college but to the community.
A lot of community members support the university, and so we try to make sure that the foundation, we do our part. I think the key for the Salisbury University Foundation, obviously the mission is solely to support Salisbury University, our students, faculty, and staff. So if there's a link to the community, like we have a Student United Way chapter, and so those students are very involved in the United Way here in the community, and so the foundation would support the efforts of our Student United Way chapter. So if there are things our students or faculty or staff are doing in the community, and it's a natural fit for the university, the foundation is fully behind that.
But you're also surrounded by a lot of givers there in the foundation.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that. How has that enhanced you personally?
Sure. So, I think when you watch people with selfless service, that's really what it's all about, is being selfless and giving back to the community. I think being in the business of educating young adults as they go on to become better members, not only educated, but become better members of society, I think giving back to your community is a big piece of that. And for me, I think about some of the programs that I've been involved with at Optimist Club, whether it's a student getting a scholarship, whether it's a student winning this, you have 13, 14, 15-year-old students getting up and doing this speech contest is really what the oratorical contest is. But we've had students from our Optimist Club move on to the regionals, and they've won. And so you watch them as these young professional students who are just so poised and so confident at that young age, and then you keep track of them as they go off and go to college or graduate, and you think about the impact that Optimist Club program, that one little program that some people may say is a toss-away thing, had a profound impact on them and sort of set them up for the future. So I've enjoyed every community service organization I've been part of or interacted with, and just think they help you grow as a person and gives you a sense of satisfaction. I mean, I'm in the business of philanthropy, and so it feels good to give, and so it relates to community service as well. We're all in this community together, and so everything that you can do, and like I said, there's so many opportunities here in Salisbury, Wacomico County. It's everything for anyone.
My mom has this cross-stitch picture that I still have on the wall in her home now, my home, that says the joy that you give to others is the joy that comes back to you. And it's really true. I heard from Karen earlier about the President White's initiative and his involvement, and something that he's trying to implement, I guess, campus-wide, is an initiative of Governor Hogan's. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is the third year that Governor Hogan announced the Day of Service, and along with our bordering states of Delaware and Virginia and the Washington, D.C., that it's a day for people in the state to give back to their local community. And so specifically in Maryland, Governor Hogan, working with state employees, obviously Salisbury University, we're a state institution, and so providing time off for employees to go and give back in their community. And so it started September 11th and it'll run through October 10th. And so working with our Human Resources Office, Salisbury University employees are able to take some time and then go back and give into the community, whether they're already involved in a civic organization and spending time with that group doing a project, or there are projects that the university is working on. There are 3 projects right now. One is a ramp build that our housing office is asking for volunteers coming up on September 27th. We have a number of education faculty members and athletic teams that are involved in Halo, and so that's another opportunity. And then I think the university is working with Habitat for Humanity for a couple of house builds. And so it's really great. I mean, we as the university are so happy to be part of what Governor Hogan's doing. I think it's a great concept. Our staff senate really pushed to have all employees being able to take time out of their day to go and give back to the community. So we're happy to be part of it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that is for the people who work here, but how about the students? Do they have that freedom to?
Yeah, so all year round, actually, it's really amazing how many hours our students give back. And so we have a volunteer center on campus that's managed out of our career services office and student affairs. And so, like I said, when I was a student, those student opportunities still exist to this day, and even more so. And so our students can participate in this, but they've really been doing their own stuff, whether they're in a social fraternity, whether they're in honorary organizations, whether in social clubs. I see all of them volunteering throughout the year. I mean, every day on campus, you can see our student clubs and organizations hosting a table, hosting an information session about something in the community. And so, and there's class projects. A lot of our faculty members do that as well. So our students are certainly engaged in the community. It's what makes Salisbury University a great part of this community, is our students back out into the community. I think it dispels the myth of the ivory tower and administration. I mean, we will roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty as well, and I think it's important. I mean, we as an exec staff are organizing a time for us, the president and the vice presidents and his cabinet to get together and do our own project. I was actually talking with the chief of staff, Eli Modlin, this morning about the project that we're going to work on. And so it's, I think it sends a message that we're all in this together, that it doesn't matter what your title or your position is, what you wear to work every day, whether you're wearing a suit or whatever, that it's important to give back to your community. And so it'd be great to see 100% participation by the entire campus community, faculty, staff, students, and not just during this month, but all year round, to give back to the community, whatever that means.
Right. It's good that the governor has this initiative, in that it makes everybody aware that this is an important aspect of our lives.
Yeah, and you would think it's important to not say, well, that's reserved for Saturdays and Sundays or evenings when you're off work. It's really as we're part of this community, and so why not have it built into during your normal business hours? And I think that's the purpose of it, is to say, if it's a Tuesday afternoon, take some time off work to go and volunteer in your community, and I think we're happy to do that.
I think it's just great. Thank you so much for all that you do personally, and that all you represent, and the great role model that you are for the students here and for our community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Always good to see you.
You too.
It's always wonderful to see so many members of the campus involved in the greater Salisbury community and contributing in so many ways. Now let's take a look at some of the events on campus in October. There are so many wonderful cultural and educational events coming up. I hope to see you at some of them. I'd like to thank my guests, Dr. Karen Olmstead, SU Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, and Jason Curtin, SU Vice President of Advancement and External Affairs and Executive Director of the SU Foundation, Inc. I'm Susan Purnell, and this has been Salisbury University on the Air. Thank you for watching.